Welcome in.
Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for those that are showing their faces, happy faces. Glad to see y'all. Good afternoon, good afternoon. We will get started in just a few. I want to let a few more people get in. But good afternoon, everybody. Hi, Miss Consuela. Good afternoon, North Carolina. All right, we're going to get started in just a little bit, but while you are waiting, go ahead and share your name, city, and your role in the chat if you have not already done so. Some of you that have already done it, you are used to our format, so we appreciate that. Thank you, Miss Myrna. Good to see Miss Jenny from Oxford, Ohio. Welcome. Glad to see everybody. We have some folks from licensing. Cool. Great. Welcome from New York, Oklahoma.
Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Yeah, our Georgia folks are here.
Savannah.
Thanks for visiting. Glad to have you all here. Thank you, thank you. So those that are just coming on, we are dropping our names, cities, and roles in the chat, just so that we are familiar with everybody. We are building community so that you can have a place for your fellow directors, interventionists, education managers, and specialists. If you are a B5 leader in any capacity at your sites, you're in the right place.
Oh, wow. Welcome from Kenya.
Yes, hey. We do have some teachers here. I see some pre-K teachers, some infant toddler teachers. Welcome, welcome. And an in-home childcare provider, Miss Jennifer. Welcome, welcome. Glad to see everybody. Thank y'all for joining with us today. Okay. So we're kind of used to the numbers, so we kind of know about how many we should be expecting. So we're just going to hang tight just a few more seconds and then we will jump right in. Okay. So as you are still waiting for us to get started, those of you that have already shared your name, role, and city, go ahead and take our poll. So the questions will pop up and you'll be able to put in your responses in just a few. And you should see it on your screen. So our questions are as follows. Have you attended any previous ecosystem cohorts? Yes or no? Are you already a Cox Campus member? Yes or no? What best describes your role? So we have some of that. And have you completed the ecosystem course? So there is an ecosystem course that is in alignment with this cohort. So you can find that on our Cox Campus website. Okay. And that information is helpful to Nathan and myself because we want to know who's here. We want to know how involved you are in our Cox campus community. And if you're familiar with the content that we're sharing, because it's all in the ecosystem course. All right, thanks, guys. We appreciate that. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and get started with introducing ourselves. Go ahead, Nathan.
All right, I'm Nathan Thompson. I am a language and literacy instructional facilitator with the Rollins Center and for Cox Campus. I want to just share out that my core values are family, connection, and authenticity. I've been in this field for, it'll be 25 years at the end of this year. So this month, 25 years. Been an educator, worked for years in a 2-year-old classroom. I've been a director, a coach, and I always consider myself an activist as well.
Awesome. And I am Jennifer Jones. I am also a language and literacy instructional facilitator with the Rollins Center for Language and Literacy. And my core values are, as Nathan, family, integrity, and discipline. And I've been in the field 16 plus years, early childhood education. So in February, actually, I'll be coming up on 17 years. So really glad to be in the field. I have been a teacher. I have been a mentor coach. I've been a trainer and a technical assistant specialist, and now a facilitator. So definitely enjoy my role in early child care and education. So glad to be here with you all. All right. So we are going to share our core values with our Cox campus. And so we have 5 of those core values. The first one is rewarding. So our hope with Cox campus members is to become your best selves through the various experiences that you are offered on our website. The next one is empowering. So we want you to know that you and the work that you do are valued when you are visiting our Cox campus website. The next one is connecting, and Cox Campus is a shared space where all educators from different or similar backgrounds can come together and learn and grow. The fourth one is safe. So it's a safe space where you can feel welcomed and accepted and get answers you need to deepen your understanding and take the teaching practices to the next level. And our last core value is essential. So Cox Campus will always deliver current research and appropriate methods and practices that will help you deepen your understanding and your methods of teaching and instruction for your young learners. So as we mentioned earlier, Cox Campus is our web-based platform for all of our courses and resources for all of you that are joining us today and some of your staff members. And so this is the website that you want to access to sign up for free. So take a moment if you are not a Cox Campus member, and if you are, we appreciate you, and we hope that you share this information with your colleagues. We also dropped it in the chat, so you do have access to it there as well.
All right, let's do a little icebreaker. So this is just a question you can unmute and tell us, or you can put it in the chat. If you had to live in a holiday movie, which one would you choose? It doesn't have to be one of the ones in the picture. That's just for looks. So a holiday movie, maybe it's your favorite, maybe it's not your favorite, but you just love to live in that one. So think in that term. So I see a Muppet Christmas Carol. Awesome. Home Alone. Yes.
Home Alone, the
Christmas
classic.
Story. The
Christmas
Holiday. Christmas
Vacation.
Vacation. Oh, we got a lot of
Mhm.
different ones here.
Love Actually. Okay, I have to look into that one. I've never heard of that
Yeah,
one.
that's a good one.
Oh, Christmas with the Cranks. When you were talking about Nathan,
Yeah,
that's
that one's
cool.
funny. I
A
like that.
Wonderful Life. Home Alone. It's a Wonderful Life. Cool. Oh, we have another person that says Love Actually. Okay. So I have to look into that one over the break. Christmas Miracle, yeah, it's a good one. Awesome, awesome.
Thank you for
Nathan,
sharing.
did you have a holiday movie? Was yours Christmas with the Cranks?
I think that would be, yeah, that would be a fun
That
one.
would be yours.
Yeah, and I read that book with my daughter. I think it's called Skipping Christmas. That's what the movie's based off of a book.
Yeah.
So yeah. What about yours, Jennifer?
I can't remember. Is this the one right in the middle? Well, no, not to the middle. It's to the
Christmas,
right,
a
top right, the second
Christmas
left.
Story, is that the
Yes.
one?
Yeah, that's the name.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, thank y'all for sharing that. Even if you,
Elf,
you
yeah.
know, didn't get a chance, definitely drop it in the chat later. We'd love to hear what holiday movie you would love to live in for a moment.
Yes. All right, here's our objectives for today. We're going to review the 9 essential elements of an ecosystem. Um, we do ask that everyone take that course. If you haven't taken it, please take the course on the ecosystem, because everything we do in this group each month is based on that course. But we do like to kind of review, and I put the link to the course in the chat. We do like to review the essential elements each month in case you haven't had a chance to look over those. We're going to reflect on observation. So if you were here last month, we talked about element 3, transitions, routines, rituals, and we scored a video. So today we're going to reflect on our own observations in our classrooms. So we'll get into groups and do that. And then we'll get into element 4, and we're going to discuss the look fors, the examples, the rating criteria for that one, which is meaningful conversations. And we're going to practice setting those goals and writing action steps so that when we come back in January, we will go over those observations again. All right, so I want to go over the norms with you. Our norms are for this meeting and for this group to be open-minded and flexible to change. Be sure to step up and step back. Be present. Respect the opinions and communication styles. Listen to understand. And commit to pause and reflect throughout. Purpose statement for this group is to provide support for strengthening language-centered ecosystems at a larger scale so that all children have an opportunity to be a part of an effective ecosystem that is established in all 9 essential elements. To build community among a diverse group of individuals working towards positive relationships and progress in child outcomes in language and literacy development.
Okay, guys. So as you see here, we are showing you our fan, which is what we call it. It's the 9 ecosystem elements. And so our focus today is going to be moving into the content cluster. And so that first element of the content clusters is children as conversational partners. And so that is the element that we are going to focus on today. So we just wanted to pop that in. But for those of you that are not as familiar with everything, we're going to give you a quick overview of all of those 9 elements. So the first cluster is climate cluster. So we just finished that one last month. And in that cluster, there are 3 elements: safe and responsive climate, culturally responsive and preserving environments, and consistent routines, rituals, and transitions. So with safe and responsive climate, this one focuses heavily on social emotional needs for learning. So making sure that children at all ages feel safe in order for them to learn and thrive. And so safe in every way so that they can express themselves and also accept themselves. The second one is culturally responsive and preserving environment. So with that one, we're promoting respect for all children and promoting diversity to know and ensure that children are valued and they see themselves represented and included, and children learn and value appreciate themselves and also the differences among their peers. And the third element in the climate cluster is consistent routines, rituals, and transitions. So in this one, the practices support children's socio-emotional development and the preparedness to learn through consistency and predictability throughout the day. So making sure that children are emotionally safe, and also feeling independent. So into the second cluster, which is content clusters, we're focusing on the fourth element, which is children as conversational partners. And so with this element, the focus is around supporting language as a use for communication, the development of their oral language skills, also developing vocabulary and comprehension, and promoting some critical thinking through conversations and storybook read-alouds. The fifth element, that practice is integrated planning and teaching around an anchor book. And so in that element, we prioritize creating opportunities for children to extend their learning, to hear and practice vocabulary, and deepen their comprehension concepts and skills through storybooks and other instructional activities throughout the day. Element 6, which is the last element in the content cluster, is focused on emergent literacy. So this one focuses on phonological awareness, phonological sensitivity, also the concepts of print. And so we are actually redeveloping that one, that particular element. So when we get to that element, we will be updating you guys and sharing some most current research around that element. And then the very last cluster is connection clusters. And there's observation for progress monitoring, intentional supports for dual language learners. And then the last one is strong partnerships with families. So in element 8, which is around, 7, this one is around progress monitoring and making sure that teachers are benefiting from the learning experiences through adjusting and refining your teaching practices to be more effective, to make sure that children's learning needs are met. Element 8, instructional support for dual language learners. So this element comes to life for children who are developing in more than one language. And their learning experiences are equitable for them and for their peers that are also learning as well. Then the very last element, element 9, which is strong partnerships with families. This element ensures that learning continues beyond the classroom. So families are also included in that co-constructor list of people that shape the ecosystem and make sure that children get everything and every experience to develop their learning. Okay, let's move into the expectations for our cohort today.
All right, what to expect. One, we're going to go over one essential element each month in this cohort. We'll talk about why each element is important, what each element looks like, and then we're going to do observations with each element and go over what it's like to create action steps for each element. So this is how our monthly meeting looks. This is what we're going to do in this cohort. This is our 4th month.
At this time, we're going to take a quick little pause and reflect on our observations, because in our last session, which was last month, you guys had a chance to learn about element number 3, which was consistent routines, rituals, and transitions. And so you were to go into the classroom and observe and take notice of how routines and rituals and transitions are going in your classrooms, and then come back today in this session and share your reflections with your breakout group. So we will be assigning breakout groups in a minute, but just to show you guys what questions that you need to be prepared for when you do transition. And if you notice, we have a quick little note at the bottom of this slide. So if you can choose a speaker and a note taker for each group, so that when we do come back as a large group, someone will be able to share on behalf of your group. So just take a quick look at these questions, but they will follow you into your breakouts. So what did you notice about routines, rituals, and transitions in your observations? Did the teachers plan and implement consistency with their transitions? Were the routines welcoming and community oriented? Did the rituals faster joy or
Foster, yeah, sorry.
foster joy, and support learning? And then the last one is to share one or two action steps that you plan or planned already to make for improvement. So these are the questions that you want to keep in mind when you do transition to your breakout groups. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. Nathan and I will be kind of bouncing around to support the breakout groups. So if you have any questions and we're in there, feel free to, let us know. But you'll see your message in a little bit once we transition.
And remember to choose that speaker and note taker. Somebody can take notes, and then somebody, when we come back, can share out, be willing to share out.
Yeah. All right, welcome back, everybody. So I hope that was a nice time for you guys to reflect and just share some observations that you guys experienced, and some ideas, some ways to support each other, just to try to get a different feel of what's going on at your center versus someone else's. So I was hearing some good conversations, and if anybody wants to come up off mute and just share from their group, we'd be glad to hear.
I'll share from group 2.
Okay.
And we kind of discussed, several of us were new. This is our first time being a part, but just in what we do and noticing transitions, that some teachers are very well planned and they understand the intentionality of planning that time, while our newer teachers are still struggling with that. And for them, sometimes it's, if I give the direction, that's my transition, because they haven't quite learned yet what it means to plan. And so we discussed, maybe for those who use the creative curriculum, maybe using those Mighty Minute cards as transition. And if you can put things on the wall, maybe having something up there where they can look for something, kind of like an I Spy. Especially like for my program, our bathroom is in the hallway. And so, that can be a hard time for our teachers sometimes, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Haynes, for sharing for your group. I heard some things that kind of stood out in similarity to the group that I listened to in group 1. So they also shared some conscious discipline, some Mighty Minutes are also used at their facility. And so, and also a similar experience with veteran teachers or experienced teachers versus newer teachers that are also experiencing some, I guess, a little challenge just because they're newer to the curriculum. And so, but with time and support, this all can make a big difference and improve. So just glad that you guys took a chance to talk about it and actually go into your classrooms and see what's happening, because that's really what matters most, is making sure that you're going in and showing face and also offering support and giving feedback to your staff. So thanks. Keep moving.
For group 4, we talked about the importance of being consistent with the routines, and you can tell when your routines aren't consistent how difficult it could be for the children to be successful, and then how you can incorporate a variety of literacy aspects into your rituals and routines. For example, like Heggerty is something that we use within our programs.
Thank you, Sarah.
Hi, Louise here. I don't know what group I was in. I just know Nathan was with us.
I
And
think it was group 3.
okay, thank you. Because it was a hard getting into the group. Yeah, we did. We discussed, a few of us discussed consistency, routine, engagement from the teachers, transitions being learning moments and also fun moments, and uh, show visuals of what you're expecting, expectations, boundaries
Mhm.
for those transitions, because we know those transitions can be tricky and sometimes borderline dangerous if you don't do it right. But definitely consistency in the routines, and even commenting that even if you have challenging behaviors, they need that consistency too, because sometimes if it's not, and it's chaotic, like you said, it can lead to chaos. and
Mhm.
and I in observation say I can even walk in a room and feel that energy. You could feel
Yeah.
the energy of more of a consistent routine, and consistent, and transitions and planning, and you could feel the difference in energy in the room.
Absolutely. Thank you, Louise, for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Thanks to everybody that shared their group's reflections. So those are all very helpful to the group, and do see some agreeing in the chat. So we talked about routines, rituals, and transitions in the last one. And so I do encourage you all that are visiting for the first time to definitely follow up. The recordings are sent out after each of these sessions. So you can always go back and get content and support on the previous ones. But we're gonna keep it moving into our fourth element for today. So before we do that, we do have a tool that we do encourage everyone to download and have access to. It's called the Ecosystem
Can we
Construction.
make it a little larger, please? We had that conversation that sometimes it's a little small and you can't see
This image of the ecosystem.
most of the images.
Okay.
Nathan, you remember that conversation?
Yes, thank you so much. And
If it's possible, I don't want to make trouble. I'm a
No,
troublemaker.
no. We appreciate that. We want you guys to step up wherever you see, you need to, and let us know. And so, but this document, there is a link that we dropped in the chat. So we want you guys to download it, print it out, have access to it, and use this as we go through this year-long journey. So in this tool, you will find that it has a lot of self-reflection and self-growth opportunities for you and your staff. So it supports the implementation of best practices that lead to positive child outcomes. So definitely take advantage of this document, and it's going to be helpful throughout this year-long journey. So each time that you come to a session with us each month, we do encourage that you bring your copy of the Ecosystem Construction Measure Guide, so that you can follow along, because a lot of what we talk about is also in that document, so you can have a visual right in front of you. So that'll make it a little bit more helpful for those that may be struggling a little bit to see the image on the slide. So, okay. Okay, another document that's also very helpful as you go through these elements is our closer look document. And so this document here actually breaks down what each element means, what it looks like in the classroom, and it gives you some practices in action. So you can see videos of each of the elements so that you have a visual of what to look for, and to know what it should look like and sound like when you're in the classroom. So this includes all 9 elements. And so we encourage you to click that link in the chat as well and download a copy of this one. And so those 2 documents do go well together. So we encourage you to take advantage of the closer look document. There it is in the chat. And then also download the Ecosystem Construction Measure tool as well. All right, Nathan. Nathan, you're muted. Sorry.
Thank you.
That's okay.
All right. So let's talk about talking. Children as conversational partners, element 4. Let's get right into it. Go to the next slide. All right, so what is it? This is what it is. This element, it focuses on this support around children's language development and comprehension. So we know that oral language is made up the receptive, the listening, and the expressive speaking components. We listen and we speak. Long before children can express themselves, they begin to understand what is being said. So that receptive language. This is not, yes. Once they begin to say sounds and words and sentences in their language, they're starting to develop that expressive language. Children who are exposed to more than one language are very capable of learning and developing skills in each of the languages they hear. An important part of oral language development is acquiring vocabulary. Children develop strong language skills, including vocabulary, through their interactions with others. So in this element, teachers and other adults are engaging children intentionally in that back and forth conversation to promote the language and vocabulary development and that comprehension and even critical thinking. So this includes intentional interactions as teachers read books with children and also during play, lunch, transitions, any time of the day that you're working with children and having those conversations. All right. So why does this matter? It matters because oral language is a sorry, I was muted. Why does this matter? Oral language is a significant predictor of reading ability, and it's strongly connected to the development of children's cognitive and thinking skills. So language includes a variety of skills, such as the ability to comprehend words, put words together to form phrases, sentences, all these things that go into language that are appropriate for different social contexts. Through language, we express our knowledge, our ideas, our feelings, and make meaning of our world. This provides the foundation for communication and social interaction. So in the midst of their responsive interactions with others and engagement as true conversational partners, that's important, children develop a voice and they use language and critical thinking skills to express themselves and advocate for themselves and others. So reading aloud with young children promotes the development of early language and literacy skills. Interactive read alouds, where teachers ask open-ended questions and use think alouds, and children are encouraged to make predictions, have been found to increase the vocabulary, language development, listening comprehension skills, and that overall literacy development. So we can see here that language is tied directly into literacy and learning to read. Let's hear the teacher here and let's see what we think.
Sebastian, I see you playing in the mirror. I see you looking at yourself. Who is that? It's Sebastian Peekaboo. Who do you see? There's JoJo. You walking? Where we walking to? Oh, I see you climbing over. You going over? Where we going? There's Sebastian. Come on. You walking back down? You going down? Let's come on. Hi, Bria. Hi, Bria. Come on, Bash. Go down. Come on, Bria. You gonna walk down with Sebastian? Let's walk down with Sebastian. Come on.
All right. Was that a meaningful conversation? What did you notice? And what's the difference? What do you notice the difference between talking with an infant versus an older toddler?
Simpler sentences. Louise again.
Thank you, Louise.
You know, simpler sentences and definitely. I just noticed I'll be honest, I was noticing, I said, I love the fact that she was moving. She was moving amongst the children,
Mm,
like, and then the conversation was going, and it was simpler, but that movement, I think, helped me to say, this is good, like to focus in on the two or the three infants that were there, you know.
yeah. And I
You
noticed
have,
someone, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say you have to um realize when you're working with like the toddlers that you're gonna talk and they're not gonna respond. So that's definitely a difference that she stayed engaged with them, even though obviously they weren't giving words back. So
Yeah, great
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that too, the receptivity of that baby or that young child. But something we could do in observance is to look at the child's eyes, ears, just to determine, are they engaged with the language that's being spoken? Does he, or, it's two ways it could go. As you are speaking to a child that is that young, does that child ignore you and look away? And where are their eyes? Or when you speak to that child, do they appear to be looking at you? Do they hear, and do, facial expressions change?
Mm, yes, very good points. And I saw someone mention parallel talking, explaining what the child is doing, and self-talk is definitely important. Yep. So saying what you're doing and narrating what you're doing, self-talk, and parallel talk, explaining what the child is doing. And sometimes you might ask a question and then answer it for the child, because that's teaching them about open-ended questions and vocabulary. Yeah, I see some really good comments in the chat here. Changing positions with accompanying prepositions were reflective of her actions. If he was more still, the melody of her voice increased, especially when he repeated it. Yeah, thank you, Brittany. All right, so now we're going to look at an example of this in an older toddler classroom where language is being lifted.
Yes. Oh, you shared. Now look here. That looks tasty. What's inside? What is that? It's an apple. It's red. It looks like an apple, but I believe it's cheese. You think it's cheese? Can you say cheese? Pretending. Oh, yes. It's not real. It's pretend. It's pretend. It's a toy. We don't want to put that. We have to eat the real cheese. It's pretend cheese. Pretend cheese. Look what we have right here. What's that? A plate. Then we have a slice of. It's a hot bread. Oh, so it could be toast. Could it be toast? It could be toast. Okay, let's see. Can we build us a sandwich? Can we build a sandwich? Here's some lettuce, and here's another piece of bread. So what's that?
The picture.
We build a sandwich. Yes. Yes, I think we need something to drink. Yes, we need something to drink. And look, we can use this to do what? We can use this to pour. Could you pour some juice in the cup? I would love to have some juice. Thank you. Is this for me? That's for me. Can I have that? Okay. Thank you very much. That was delicious.
All right, so what did you notice in that older toddler classroom through those conversations? What did you notice from the teachers? What did you notice from the children about conversations?
Louise again.
Hi, Louise.
Hi. Definitely language, definitely adding new words, definitely continuing the thoughts that were brought up. My only suggestion would have been to because it was just the one little girl speaking, I would have, tried to bring the others in more. Maybe, and I don't want to be critical, but I mean, it was very, very good language and, extending and engaging with, but maybe they could have brought the other children in more. I
Okay.
noticed they were like quiet.
Thank you for that.
My
Yeah.
observation.
I see a hand raised. Brittany, did you have your hand raised?
I noticed that even though she offered corrections, she never once said no or you're incorrect about something. She would acknowledge their input and then add on to that each time. So whether they were wrong or right, she would add on and provide more information or build upon their previous knowledge, which gave a lot of thought to how those things connected to real life.
Yeah. And I see in the chat, teacher was expanding the students' words with more details and definitions, allowed the children to build their own language and critical thinking, developing new vocabularies. So building that receptive and expressive language in there. The melody of her voice increased, especially when he repeated it. Yeah, thank you, Brittany. All right, let's look at the last example video we have. And this is a preschool or pre-K age. And we're gonna, let's see what we notice and look at some of the differences in conversations that happen here. And this is a dual language.
What about, you think this will work? Okay, where do you want me to put it? Oh, you know what? You have one in your hand. Is this, you want to use this as a window or this, the red? Okay, where to put it? Show me where to put it. Okay. Horizontal. You want me to turn it around? Show me. It's good? Okay. Okay. So where are you going to place? Follow me. So how many windows do you want? 1, 2. Anthony, how many windows? 2, 1. I'll let you create. Watch you.
Ese no, ese es el ojo. ¡Ay! ¡Mía!
All right, so that was a dual language learner in a pre-K classroom. So what did you notice about that, about those supports for his first language, and just the conversation in general? About her tuning in, asking questions, lifting language, and keeping it going.
She took that language. There was Louise again. Am
Hi, Louise.
I good, or someone else is trying to talk?
Go ahead.
Okay, so it took that. She went with the language was flowing, and it was he responded, and there was a conversation going on, but she also let him, like, she used his play, what he was doing, to add to the language, and then let him go with it, so it was very interactive.
Yeah, very much so. She's tuning in to what he was interested in. Someone in the chat said they noticed the questioning was used to develop language and discussion. The teacher first accepted the child's language and later used the English language. Okay, yeah. And she was saying some of the words in Spanish that he was saying. Perame. Anyone else want to share what they noticed? While her language was more advanced than younger children, her word choice was more simplified, including word form and tense in English. Yes, thank you. All right, now it's our turn. So let's take a look at what this looks like in the next slide. So this is the observation. This is what it looks like. And what you're going to do now is look at a video and you're going to score it and talk about it in your small groups. So we have the, I'll just kind of go through this briefly. One thing we're always looking at emerging is minimal evidence. There's not a lot of engaging. rarely engaging in those conversations. And then we're looking at a 2 where there's some, but it's inconsistent. So teachers occasionally listen to children and acknowledge their contributions, but deliberate efforts to elicit children's engagement are less evident. They occasionally tune in, occasionally serve as good language models. And then at an established level, it's strong and it's consistent. They're frequently and consistently tuned in. They're attentive. They serve as rich language models. They consistently elicit and support children's engagement. So that's the kind of stuff we're looking at. So we're going to go to the next slide. All right. Okay, in this slide, as you can see, this is just the form that we use to observe. So that's helpful to see. You can take notes of emerging, developing, established. But what we'll do is we'll watch the video, and I'll also share a link to the video, and then we're going to rate it based on that, based on this 1, 2, or 3 in our small groups. So on the next slide, we have the video. What you'll notice is that these are not children. So just imagine they are, because these are some of our folks over at Rollins who are acting as children. All right, let's take a look. All right, so now we're going to go in our small groups and talk about, was that a 1, 2, or 3 for conversations in the classroom?
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, welcome back. So I hope that was a good opportunity for you all to share your observations, your, things that you noticed and heard in that video. And I apologize to one of the ladies that was sharing with us. She did get cut off because we were returning to the main session. But if you do feel, comfortable enough to continue sharing, please use this time to do that, because we do, value all of your input, everybody that's on this session today. So I didn't get your name, but you were in our group sharing about the things that you noticed between the 2 children and the teacher when they were tussling over an item.
Are we sharing?
Yes, if anybody wants to share.
I'm just going in for it.
Yeah.
I'm going in for
What
the
was your
kill.
rating, Miss
I'm
Louise?
going in for the kill. Group 3, the consensus was a 1, no interaction, no language. Didn't even know what time, kind of couldn't focus in on, was it center time, was it circle time? Teachers not interactively nearby talking. One was even sort of sitting where they didn't even weren't even acknowledging the fight that was going on there. And the other teacher barking, I'll just say barking from across the room. So there was no interaction. I don't know if I forgot anything, but we did have a long conversation.
That's good. That's good. And I appreciate you, Miss Louise, for sharing on behalf of your group. And so the consensus among my group was also a 1. And so I did hear some similar observations that you shared as well. Really no structure, no indication in the video of what time of the day it was, and not really making out, what was the activity the teachers had the children in, or, and no language with substance. So no quality language was actually shared in that video. And so I'm glad you guys were able to pinpoint exactly what was, being observed. And we want you to, thank you, Miss Brittany. She's also sharing, wasn't in tune with the children in the classroom. And so being aware of what your children are doing, what items they're using while they're doing it, how to properly use them, how to cooperatively use them. Those are all a combination of things that should be considered when you are managing your classroom, and especially during an observation. And so I want you guys to take that information and, apply it to your sites when it's time for you to go into those classrooms to observe element 4. Be mindful of these things, and also take your ecosystem construction measure, page 15, with you in the classroom, so that you have a clear indication on what it is I should be looking for and listening for when I'm observing element 4. Okay.
Can I add something else?
Sure.
The fighting for the toy or whatever was going on there, probably could have been lessened by interaction or even engagement, and focusing it in a different direction and engaging the two children,
Yes,
so
that's
preventing all of that,
a big possibility that, if teachers' presence, physical presence, proximity, would have probably made a world of a difference in that interaction. So, but thank you for making that observation and bringing that up. And so that's also something we want to consider when we are observing and you're providing feedback to teachers that are maybe not in as close proximity to their children, and encouraging them to be close, because we want to prevent such things like this from occurring. Thank you. Let's keep going. Okay, so this slide here basically gives you the process that we encourage you to follow as you are observing in your classrooms. We want you to observe, gather as much information as you can from your teachers and children. And the next thing is to have some time to reflect. So before you take action, after you observe, we don't want you to immediately start, planning things out. We want you to take some time to reflect on the information that you've gathered. Gather up maybe another colleague with you, or a team of people, some administrators, some other people that can make decisions around the site. Get with these people and let's talk about, just like you did in the breakouts, ask each other these questions, and, what did you notice? And, what did you hear? Maybe I missed something. What did you hear? And so have some reflection time, and then make some time to take action and develop an action plan that is specific to what it is that you want to improve or see improved in that classroom. Okay. And the next slide is just going to give you some examples of what you can include as action steps when you do this, decide it's time to create a plan on this particular classroom. So you may say, I want this teacher to take some Cox Campus courses that would help her become more knowledgeable and more educated on what it is that she needs to know and she needs to be familiar with. The next thing is, I might share a Cox Campus resource with the teacher. So I may find something in our resource library that I can print out and hand over to her, and we can, figure out how we can embed this resource in her daily routines. Implement a specific teaching practice, or develop some common planning time. Sometimes teachers just need some protected time for them to, think about what it is that I need to do better or do more on in my classroom. And then the last one is some self-reflection. So sometimes teachers, you might need to set up a camera or a laptop or something in the classroom and say, let's record ourselves for, 5, 10, 15 minutes. So that teachers can see themselves in action. So sometimes teachers, they may not even, take your word. You may be saying, I came in your classroom today and I observed you saying such and such. And they're like, I don't think I said that. Well, according to the the recording, this is what was said. And so having teachers really self-reflect and look at themselves and listen to how they, may say things to children, or their body language. They may not be saying anything, but their body language is communicating something, different or opposite to what it is that they want their children to experience. So these are some of the action steps we encourage you to include as you set goals for your classrooms.
All right, so we're getting near the end here. You'll have a month to work on those observations and thinking about some action steps. So this is what we did today. We did an ecosystem review. We looked at the element reflections. It was actually element 3 reflections. And then we got into element 4 over the conversations. All right, next slide. All right, here's your next steps. Complete or review the course. Review that ECM 2.0 document and a closer look document. Observe a classroom and rate that element 4 that we went over today. Conversations, meaningful conversations in the classroom. And then check your email for follow-up. We will be back here again on January 9th. So make sure you share with other leaders, and we will connect again then. Thank you all so much for your time, for sharing out, for your engagement. And I hope if you do celebrate any holidays next week and the next coming weeks, enjoy your time. Catch some of those holiday movies. And one last thing, please take our survey. It is going to pop up for you. It's 2 quick questions. How do you feel this session deepened your knowledge, and how likely are you to try something new in your practice based on what you learned? Thank you for the comments.
Yes, and we hope that this was helpful and very informative for you guys. So definitely visit Cox Campus, start that new account, and have access to all of those resources that are absolutely free, courses as well. And we look forward to seeing you guys for after the new year.
And I'm noticing there's actually 4 quick questions in that exit poll.
Yes, and if we also have a few more minutes to spare, so if anybody has any questions you want to, ask us or the group, this is the time to do so. Happy holidays to everybody.